Testing. 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 Alright. Welcome back to Mystical Things Incorporated, where I like to make all sorts of different little doodads and sculptures and whatever. Today, I wanted to make a different type of sculpture for this upcoming HowCon. And as you can see, I'm trying to explain it, and I'm completely ignoring everything that I'm doing. Now you might be thinking, what is she planning on making? Well, boom! This one, right here. Here we have two different types of wire, some CosclayDoll, and some regular medium firm Cosclay. I was working on this head, and little did I know that hours worth of work, hours, would go down the drain. Turns out, sculpting, curing is not always the best option.
Looks like Voldemort.
So here I am, starting out on the new head, grabbing some new wire, putting on some new clay, getting everything going at tip-top shape. And after a long process of trying to get it to look like Lady Dimitrescu began. I had such a hard time trying to get this to look like Lady Dimitrescu. I worked hours, and honestly, I don't think she came out that bad, as you can see from the thumbnail, but I still have a very long way to go when it comes to my sculpting skills. Here we have the finished head, and now we can get moving on to the body. I am taking some thick gauge wire, measuring it out, and just kind of using the head as a reference. Oh, wrong head. Using the real head as a reference to see where I want to bend it. Making a quick little triangle and using some Sculpey ultralight just to kind of bulk that out. Here, after bulking everything out and attaching the head with some clay, I start to add more to the back just to kind of start to get things going. That's not English. Anyway, here I'm using a heat gun to flash cure everything to lock it in place so I can sculpt some more details. I am now adding 2 balls of clay to her chest area. That is going to make what I assume is what piqued a lot of people's interest in Lady Dimitrescu. Here we are, just smoothing everything into the torso so that it is all attached. Making sure to add plenty of different clay pieces to make sure that it looks anatomically correct. After finishing and smoothing out this lady's bazookas, I am then able to start sketching out where I'm going to put the shirt line. We'll go shirt line because I can't think. Now what I didn't realize at this point as I started adding clay was that I unintentionally made her neck way too long. I mean, come on. She looks like a giraffe. Be for real. She's a giraffe. So after removing the clay and snipping off her neck, I am left with the headless lady. After dealing with a bout of frustration, I decided to work on her other features just to kind of pass the time. I started detailing the back and getting that all set before planning out the rest of her torso. I start cutting out all the excess off the sides, filling in the seams to make sure it doesn't fall off, to adding more clay on the bottom just to stabilize her stance. And of course, blasting it with a heat gun to lock it in place. Now we've gotten to the point where I've started adding more clay to her torso just to make sure her proportions all match, only to go right into adding all the wrinkles to her dress. Here I am adding the big wrinkle right in her chest area, where her dress really makes this cool like little ruffle. After procrastinating quite a bit, I am now finally adding the head. Here I'm just squishing that pre-made head onto that big blob of clay that I added to the body, making sure that I smooth everything out, getting rid of any seams, and just kind of securing it in the pose that I, well, deemed the best. Here I am adding on her arms just to kind of solidify the half-waist look, adding some ruffles in there to match the texture of her dress. Here I am adding the other arm and just repeating what I did on the other side. In this clip you'll see I already added all of the little, I don't know what to call them, but I'm here smoothing them out just to kind of add some more wrinkles and some more texture to her dress. Here I flatten a piece of clay and I've got my little ruler and I'm cutting it out to make her little cape piece that goes in the back. Now I'm taking some scissors and cutting that little V shape in the back, to which I'm going to fill with a handmade clay ruffle piece. Now I'm just taking a pencil and sketching out where I'm going to be putting the hairline. Then immediately, and without any editing, I am putting clay where her little bun is a bun thing, or is it like it's a 1920s type haircut. Kinda. Here I am just adding to that hairstyle, making sure that all the parts of, well, where her hair is gonna show is all set, textured, curled, you name it, I did it. I also made sure to add a little bit extra volume to that curl because it was a little bit too small. Here, now that the base of her hair is all set, I can finally get started on making the extra little curls. After making quite a few pieces, I started twisting them and making them basically look like extra curls, putting them all together to make her finalized hairstyle. Since we're already 7 minutes into the video and we haven't even finished sculpting yet, I'm just going to do a quick little playthrough. I added some texture with Bacon Bond, measured and cut a circle out of Worbla, blasted it with a heat gun, smooshed it on the head, and started warping out the sides to match the reference that I had. Here I'm taking out my epoxy clay, where I am going to sculpt the last details on the hat very, very quickly. Now with the sculpting finished, I can finally get started on painting. So I'm using this antique white color just to get her dress, like, it just seemed like the most comparable color. So I'm just gonna paint her dress until she's opaque enough where there's no clay showing through. Now that her body's all painted, I started painting the whites of her eyes as well as her skin tone. I used dolphin gray for this. Pretty sure this gray was a little bit too gray and not white enough, but that's okay because it actually came out pretty decent. After her skin was all finished, I actually mapped out the irises, and I will say I got a little ahead of myself and actually started painting her lips. Here I am starting to paint the black in her hair, making sure to fill everything in and also making sure that I'm not missing any spots. I accidentally painted her eyes like a sage green, so here I am covering that with the actual color of her iris as yellow, and I added some pupils. Can't really see it here, but I'm actually doing her eyebrows, which you can see right here. Here I am also painting her hat like a dark brown. This brown did not really look like the color. I started painting this and I didn't even really realize it until about here, where you can see I mixed in some reds, a little bit of black, and just kind of tried to make it as close to the original color as I could. Off camera, I made a bunch of these small clay balls that I'm going to now use to make her jewelry. Now, I will forewarn, her jewelry ended up being way too big for her. Like, humongous, bulging off of her neck. I still painted it anyway. I painted them pearly white, and in the end, they did work well. Would I have liked to make it better? Yes. I mean, even the roses and the pendant didn't come out too bad. The pendant's definitely not fully accurate, but it's good enough. Here you can see I actually 3D printed a base I found on Cult 3D for her. I sanded it, filled in any cracks or anything with UV resin, and just started painting it a nice tan color. And ooh, oh, there it is. It's terrible. I then thought to myself, what would make this better? So I grabbed some clay, rolled it out, cut it to fit. Boom! Cushion. I also made sure to press her in before baking it, but here I'm just checking the fit, and it fits pretty darn good. So I took some super glue, put that on there, nice and secure, painted it red, all done, and I super glued her butt in place. Now, after a lot of work, she is finally finished.
So we finally meet.
Now don't let this 12-minute video fool you. This project took me, well, about a month. So if you could please leave a like if you liked this video, or even think about subscribing. I do plan on making more videos within the near future. Anyway, have a good one. Hope you enjoyed.